Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Providend's Money Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Isaac, Client Advisor at Providend. Joining me today is Christopher Tan, founder and CEO of Providend. Hi Chris, great to have you back after a
long break.
Yeah,
not a short break. I think we have not done this interview on my BT article for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I hope that
because I heard it's not popular or nobody wants to hear it, so they
That's not
decide
true.
to
Is that true,
cancel me for many months. But it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. Okay, so let's just jump right into your latest BT article, which is titled Succession with Purpose, Building for the Next Generation. So before we start on the article, really, maybe you can share with our listeners what's the inspiration behind writing this article.
Well, I was thinking about what to write on the National Day month of Singapore. Right, so it's August, and I wanted to write something that is related to the Singapore's birthday. That's one. And the other thing, of course, is that I've been observing a lot of industry changes, consolidation over the past 1.5 years, actually. Right, it seems like a lot of independent firms are now being acquired by bigger institutions, and I thought that's interesting because 20 over years ago, many of us came out from big institutions to be independently owned. And then now there seems to be a reverse of trend. Independently owned firms are going back to be owned by big FIs, big financial institutions. And I thought it would be good to share our view on this because we have also been approached by various financial institutions and we have made a certain stand. And part of the work that we do for our clients is business exit. I thought succession planning is part of business exit, and it's also good to share with our listeners on what we think about succession planning as part of business exit.
Right. And the succession plan essentially started in 2021.
That's right.
So what made 2021 the right moment for you to start thinking about succession planning for Providend?
It was when I feel like I have really aged. So yes, you are right. So in January of 2021, I decided to roll out this succession plan. I mean, of course, firstly, it's true that the founding team, we are all aging. At the time, I was 50 years old, and my seniors in the founding team, they are at least 3 to 5 years older than me. Right, so some of them are already in their mid-50s, and I know for sure that succession planning takes a long time. It's not something that you can do overnight. At the time, I felt that our second generation of leaders, in a way, I'm not saying they are ready, but I think they are ready in their minds to take over leadership. And it's good to start this whole process of identifying them, grooming them, preparing them for leadership. So I decided to roll out the plan early of 2021. At that time, the idea was it's a 10-year plan. Right, and by the time I'm 60 years old, I should be ready to hand over. I'm not saying that I need to at 60 because 60 by today's standard is still young. But by 60, I hope that we will be ready to hand over the leadership to a new team of leaders. So that's why 2021.
Right, 10 years is quite a long time for a succession plan. So is there any particular reason why it's 10 years? I mean, typically when it comes to succession, people start to do it maybe a year, 3 years before they intend to retire. But why do you feel that it's important that you start not just early, but really early?
Yeah, I think actually maybe people only hear about succession planning 1 to 2 years. But I'm quite sure that for people who have done a very successful succession plan, I think it's more than 1 or 2 years. It can't be. Even in the handing over of leadership in Singapore, I don't think it is a 1 or 2 year thing. I think it's something that the former leaders would have thought through for a long time because it takes time to identify, it takes time to groom, it takes time to put the new leaders into a test, it takes time for people to accept these new leaders. So I think actually it takes a long time, and the more time we have actually is good. I think it's also good to roll it out early so that the rest of the people in the company, they know who will be the next generation of leaders. I think it's also good to announce it early so that our clients, in fact, over the last few years, and you must have noticed this, Isaac, that more and more clients are asking this question, right? What is beyond the founding team? Because they do realize that we're all aging and they have got their life savings with us. And naturally, they worry about what's going to happen beyond the founders, right? So it's also good to announce it early so that our clients know that we have a plan in place. They work with the new leaders. Giving enough time also means that I can actually bring our leaders to meet with our partners, our investment partners, our legal partners. So I don't think 10 years is a long time. In fact, I'm not even sure whether 10 years is enough. And that's why I said that at the age of 60, I hope to be ready to hand over. I don't have to if we feel that we need to give the leaders a few more years. So I'm not sure whether 10 years is too long. I certainly don't feel that it's too long.
Right. And in recent years, Providend has seen exponential growth. And along the way, you mentioned in the article that you have received a few offers to buy Providend, right? From institutions, private equity. But you emphasize that maintaining our culture is a key reason why you are quite hesitant when it comes to accepting or even considering these offers. Because without Providend's DNA, they can never truly embody our culture. So could you expand on this for our listeners?
Yeah, I think we had a total of, I can't remember now, over the last 2 years, maybe 3 or 4 offers. Some were really serious offers. Some were just interested to buy us. I went into the discussion. But as I went through those discussions, it became clearer and clearer to me that these people, they were not suitable. Right? It's not that the offers weren't attractive. It's just that I felt that they weren't suitable. Because many of the buyers, they are buying for an investment reason, or they are buying for accretion reason, meaning to say that they look at our income, they look at our revenue, and when they add our revenue to theirs, it makes their company even more attractive, and then they can probably list it at a better price. So very few of these offers, in fact, I would say most of these offers, they were interested in who we are and what we actually do for our clients. Very few came to me and talk about our purpose. And Isaac, you know that our corporate purpose and our core values, they are very important for us at Providend. It's not something that we pay lip service to. We talk about it all the time.
All the time.
Right? All the time. Right? And our core values and purpose is part of that culture. We attract people to Providend not because we are able to give them a super high compensation in a short period of time. Because if you want to be paid, and I'm specifically talking about the advisory team, right? If you want to be paid, if you want to have the chance to be paid very high in a short period of time, then don't join Providend. You should go and join a commission-based firm. Then you have a chance to actually earn a very high income in a short period of time. And again, I need to qualify, saying not every advisor earns a very high income. Not every commission-based advisor earn a very high income in a short period of time, but there are, and you've heard of them. But in Providend, it's impossible, right? Because you need to prove yourself to be good in what you do before you are compensated well. We are a professional practice. We're not a sales organization. And so we attract this kind of people. And I don't think the people who are interested to buy us, they understand this part of us, that we are very serious about our purpose. We are very serious in being the light of the financial world. We are very serious in providing good advice to clients. And I fear that if we say yes, and we have new shareholders that owns a majority stake or 100%, that's going to change our culture. That's going to change the reason why Providend exists. And it's going to be a very sad day for the founding team, especially myself, that we see Providend becoming an organization that is just after sales, just after a transaction of a product. And I think the whole organization will be divided. I think we'll see people leaving because that's not what they signed up for. And because of these reasons, I said no to all those offers.
Yeah, tapping on to what you have just shared, especially when it comes to compensation for the advisors. I mean, that's just one of many reasons. If let's say a private equity firm comes in and try to drive revenue higher, right? They may incentivize advisors to just keep pushing for more quote unquote sales. Whereas for now, at Providend, we always focus on giving good advice. That's the number one priority. And we're not incentivized in a way to keep pushing for more sales, but rather to give good advice. And if that changes, I can see that yes, the firm's revenue may grow, at least in the short term, but there can be very huge ramifications down the road.
Yeah, and you know what, Isaac, I have learned in my life that when we do wrong things, we don't do it suddenly. The things that are explicitly very, very wrong, usually we know. And we don't make that kind of mistakes. The biggest problem is when we start to do small little things, seemingly small things, wrongly, and then it becomes
snowballs in a way.
Yeah, and you begin to accept after a while. You compromise, right? I mean, since you compromise on A, which seemingly is a small thing, then you will begin to compromise on B, and since you have compromised on A and B, then C doesn't look like it's big deal anymore. So that's my fear. You have someone here that they really don't understand us. Initially, everything seems to be hunky-dory, but after a while, it's like, why don't you just do A? I mean, it's no big deal, right? And then we were like, yeah, I think so, it's no big deal. And then after A will be B, after B will be C, and then it becomes to a point, we will reach a point of no return. So I think that's our biggest fear, and that's why we are very careful when we look for partners, and that's why I said no.
But at Providend, you are not Providend's sole shareholder, right? To say no to this sort of offer, you must have an alignment across other shareholders, the founding team as well. So did you encounter any challenges, to get all the other shareholders or majority of the other shareholders to agree with this succession approach?
Yeah, so you're right to say that I'm not the sole shareholder. In fact, I'm not the majority shareholder, although I am the single biggest shareholder. I own significant stake, but not majority. I think with some of my key people in the organization, Evelyn as the Deputy CEO, Moon as the Group COO, Dr. Peng as a shareholder as well, and probably my founding team, I think together collectively, we own the majority. I have honestly never discussed with them I have not discussed with all of them, right? I've discussed with senior management, which would include Evelyn and Moon. I have discussed with Dr. Peng. In fact, Dr. Peng came in and sit in one of those presentations. We have never actually really discussed about how much money it will bring to the shareholders if we are acquired. I don't know why. I mean, I feel that I've known my founding team well enough. We've been together over the last 24 years. This year is our 24th year of our founding. And I've always shared with people that what kept Providend together is that the founding team, there was never ever an incident, a situation whereby we quarrel over money. Never. I never had an incident whereby my founding team shareholder came to me and said, I think I deserve to be paid more. I think I deserve to hold more shares. I think we have never ever quarreled over money. And I'm very grateful for that. I know that's not normal. But after spending 24 years and knowing who they are and knowing why we came together, I know that the founding team, we didn't start Providend because we wanted to maximize our wealth. If we had wanted to do that, we would have stayed to be a commission-based tied agent. That was how all of us started. And we were all doing well before we came. In fact, when we came to Providend, you know our history. We spent many years struggling financially, not just as a company, but personally. And people would have given up and gone back to doing personal sales, and they would have done much better. So I felt that I knew them very, very well. I need not go back to each of them to convince them that this is not the right thing to do. But yes, as we discussed collectively with the key people, with Evelyn, with Moon, with Dr. Peng, we just felt that no, that's not what we want. And I'm quite sure that even if I have brought this back to them, they would have asked me the same set of questions like, Chris, do you think this is the right thing to do? Do you think by selling we'll lose our culture? By selling we'll lose our purpose? I think they would have asked me the same questions, right? So I'm quite sure that we did the right thing by saying no.
Yeah, I think in a way, all of you are very driven by the mission, and to the extent that until up to the point that I asked you the question, I can see that you all really didn't think about the money aspect of it, because all of you are very aligned, right, about what is the most important thing about Providend succession, which is to maintain our culture and of course to keep driving our mission.
I think that one more thing I want to add is that I think it is rare to find partners whereby our values, our beliefs, we are in sync. We are never a group of people that believes in maximizing our wealth. You see in our lives, right? All the founding team, we live a pretty simple life. We stay in public housing. We don't drive flashy cars. We don't wear branded stuff. Of course, one or two items maybe, but you know what I mean, right? We don't always. In fact, we are very, very prudent. So that has always been our lifestyle, and for 24 years, I don't see any of my founding team members, even though today financially they are very successful. Financially, they earn a lot more. They're all accredited investors, but you don't see them changing their lifestyle, right? So that's always been us, and I think this belief translate into our clients' our firm's philosophy as well. And that's why we have the philosophy of sufficiency. The philosophy of sufficiency is not just an advisory concept. It is what the founding team believes in, and they live it out to show it to the next generation. And we hope that we are not just teaching our next generation, but our generation, they catch it from the founding team, that they really do mean what they say.
Hi listener, we hope you've been enjoying this episode and the podcast series so far. If this podcast has been beneficial to you, please give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do like this video and subscribe to not miss our future episodes. Thank you, and let's get back to the episode.
And in the article, beyond just about shareholders, I quote, you mentioned that a good succession plan should not be limited to what shareholders want, but it also must consider the interests of all stakeholders, especially clients and staff. So how do you ensure that your succession plan serves not just the shareholders, but also the staff and clients?
Yeah, I mean, if our succession plan is just about serving shareholders, then it's just about maximizing the transaction price, right? Then it is just about not investing for the long term. It's about trying to beef up the current balance sheet. It's about using short-term tactical strategy to drive up sales, and I don't care about the long term. But I don't think that's what we want to do. I mean, we want to consider the long-term survivability of the firm. We also want to ensure that clients are always taken care of beyond us. And we always want to make sure that our people here, they have a career for the long term, right? They are not here just to work, but through the work, they are able to fulfill a part of their purpose in life. Right. And so in making a decision like that, we need to consider what our staff wants, what our clients would value, and not just maximum price for shareholders, right? And we were having a chat downstairs before we came up to the studio to do this interview, and I shared with you that I always have that little problem with people calling themselves a serial entrepreneur. I don't have a problem with them, but I have a problem with this term, a serial entrepreneur, because unfortunately, this term serial entrepreneur seems to be glamorized. It's like, it's very successful. I start a business, I sell it off, and I start a second one, I sell it off, and I keep doing it. And it seems to glamorize this, but I find, for me at least, I don't like it because it becomes like a transaction. I start something, I maximize the wealth of the shareholder, I sell it off. I don't care about what happens to the clients, the customers. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say that because a serial entrepreneur may be very angry with me because they may say, we do care, right? But if we keep moving one after another, my fear is that the staff, they are not well taken care of. The clients, the customers, they are not well taken care of because it takes many, many years to build an enduring organization, right? So, I have a problem with that. A serial entrepreneurial journey may benefit the founder, may benefit the shareholder. I'm just not sure whether it always benefit the other stakeholders.
Yeah, definitely I concur with that. As a staff, or more specifically a rep of Providend, a lot of us, when we join Providend, we buy into the mission of Providend. If the founder, right, sold us this dream, but in the end essentially sold out on us, then you may feel like we're just a means to an end, a cog in the machine, and the mission was just to motivate us so that we sort of generate more revenue for the company.
Yeah.
So
Although
I
really want to say, sorry I interrupted you. Yeah, but I just really want to say that if you're a serial entrepreneur and listening to this, don't be angry with me. No, I'm not saying that you're like that. It's just that I have a problem. I don't like that. I feel that personally, I need to take a longer time to build an enduring organization. I cannot imagine 5 years, 7 years, and then the organization is enduring, and then I can sell it, and then I can start a second one, repeat the same thing, and then do the third one and fourth one. It's just me. I cannot do it. But if you're a very successful entrepreneur and you can actually build one, sell, build the second one, and everybody gets taken care of, that's great, but I just can't do it.
Yeah, I think you're just highlighting the potential challenges that may arise. If let's say you are constantly going for the next venture, of course, I'm sure many of them do care about the staff and the clients that they leave behind. But yeah, just highlighting that we can never be too sure if we do it too fast. Okay, so in terms of your succession plan, you first the picture that you draw, the very nice picture that you draw, that you have always shared in our annual client event, in our annual retreats.
My hand-drawn picture.
Yeah. It should, it belongs in the museum. But essentially, it's a succession plan that ends essentially by 2030.
That's right.
But more recently, in the article, you stated that it became 2035, right? So a lot of people don't understand the context behind it. So maybe you can take this opportunity to share why instead of 2030, it's now 2035.
Actually, it's still 2030. I didn't change that. Yeah, so I think my article may not be clear. The succession plan that I put in place for the founding team is supposed to still quote unquote end in 2030. But last year I was thinking about it because when it ends, let's say if we end in 2030 and the founding team hand over leadership to the second generation, the second generation now starts with a clean sheet, right? Start with zero, and then now they set their own goals. I don't know whether that's the best thing. I felt personally that I don't want to leave the firm like that. What I want is that I wanted to help them set a vision for themselves, right? And so last year during the corporate management retreat, I extended the goal to 2035, not the succession plan. Not the succession plan for the founding team, right? The goal. Because that as part of our 10-year vision, right, there is a final goal that we want to achieve in 2030. So I help the next generation set a goal in 2035. That 2035 goal is the second generation leader goal. It's the G2 goals, not the G1 goals. But the thinking is that we will built the organization towards 2035, not 2030. So now we have 10 years to invest into 2035, right? And by the time the G1 is ready to leave sometime in 2030, 2031, well, the 2035 goal is already halfway through. So that when we leave, we don't leave the G1 or the G2 with a vacuum. We don't leave with them nothing. We leave with them a plan that we have committed together, worked together, invested into, and I've shared that the G1, they are not going to benefit from this 2035 goal. By the time the 2035 goal comes into fruition, the G1 will no longer be there. They are not going to benefit the most out of it. The 2035 goal is really for the G2 to benefit, and the G3 to benefit, and the G4 to benefit. It's not for the G1 to benefit. And we are investing now. We are using G1's resources to invest into something that the G1 will unlikely benefit from. So that's what I was trying to say. So the succession plan has not changed. We are still all hoping to be able to retire by 2030. But the 2035 is just an extended mission, a standard goal that we set together with the G2, mentoring them, partnering them, so that when we leave, the G2 is already running towards this 2035 goal. It's a halfway mark, and they can carry on that mission.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, if you set, let's say, 2030 and all resources are allocated just to achieve 2030 goals, and the day that happens, there's a big celebration, then suddenly there's this, the founding team slowly start to leave. The G2 might be like, okay, now what? So I can see why you thought of that last year, and why it makes sense to have a 2035 goal, so that today you are investing in resources not just to get to 2030, but to get to 2035, so that when you all leave, G2 have the tools to succeed and continue, and perhaps maybe set even longer term goals from then.
I mean, there's a Chinese proverb that says that the earlier generation plant the tree, and the next generation, they have a chance to take shade under the tree. And I think that's a perfect analogy of what we are doing. We are really planting the tree for the next generation. We are not planting a tree for ourselves, and then by the time we go, the next generation, they have to plant their own trees, and for 5 to 10 years, they have no tree to take shade from, right? So that's what we are really trying to do, and I think that is the responsible thing to do. And again, Isaac, I want to thank my founding team. They didn't fight me on this. Because if I've got selfish first generation, they'll say, no, let's invest maximum for 2030. We get the best value. We leave the company with maximum wealth, and who cares about the second generation? They go and sort it out themselves, right? But I'm very thankful that the first generation, the founding team, they are unselfish. They saw the benefit, and they are willing to invest for the next generation. We are not going to get the benefit out of it. But again, very, very grateful. None of my first generation actually came to me and said, Chris, I've been thinking about this. But that speaks very much about all of them, all the first generation of leaders, first generation founding team members who are at Providend.
Right, and it really leads quite well to the next question that I'll ask you, which is about how in the article you drew a parallel between Providend's approach to Singapore's founding fathers' approach, right? Singapore's challenges today differ significantly from the past, but current leaders are able to rely on the foundations that their predecessor built to tackle these challenges. So in terms of enduring foundations, right? So what are the enduring foundations you see carrying Providend into the future?
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the start of this podcast, I said I wanted to sort of write something that is related to Singapore's National Day. I mean, this year we are celebrating our 60th birthday. And I've always been very inspired by Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, Mr. Goh Keng Swee, and the rest of the founding fathers. I wonder how they would feel if they are here with us today and see the Singapore that they have helped build. Because obviously this team of leaders, they weren't selfish. They invested into a future Singapore that we all enjoy today, that all of them, they have no chance to enjoy, right? They have no chance to see all the MRT lines that are going around the islands. Many of them, they have no chance to see even Gardens by the Bay, the marina area, the wealth that we have built. But yet, they invested unselfishly in the earlier founding years. So I took inspiration of that. That's the Singapore success story. Each generation always leaving something for future generations. And that inspired our succession plan at Providend. To your question on what would be some of the principles, values that will help Providend to be enduring, I think the answer is what you know. And that's why we emphasize so much on our culture, right? Our culture is made up of our core values, which is embedded in the spirit of Providend: a strong mind, passionate belief, inspiring one another to run the race independently but yet as a team. These are the core values that we strongly believe in. And in each of these core values, we unpack it for all of you to know what it looks like, right? And part of that behavior, one of those behavior is humility. And I talk about humility all the time, right? Because you know how we started, we struggled. Yes, today we are very successful financially, we are very healthy. Today we have a brand, we have got good clients. As at now, we are more than 1.5 billion in asset under advice. We grew 1 billion just in the last 5 years, right? And we have clients coming in and you know, some clients we can't even take. And I've always remind all of us that we must remain humble, right? It takes a strong mind to be humble. When we are humble, we inspire other people, right? So humility is probably one of those values under the spirit of Providend that I think will carry us far ahead. Because the day we become proud, the day we look back and we say, wow, we are so successful, and the day when we look down on people who may have lesser wealth and they cannot engage us for our service, I think that's the day we fall. That will be the start of our downfall if we are proud about it. So the core values, that's why we emphasize so much on the core values on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. I think some people, they are even sick of us talking about core values all the time, right? And our purpose statement is the other part of our culture, right? And if, again, I may reduce our corporate purpose into a few key points, it would be helping our clients first make life decisions before making financial decisions. Today we say helping our clients first make ikigai decisions before making financial decisions, giving them honest, independent, and competent advice to enable their ikigai goals and ikigai decisions, and the desire to be the light of the financial world. That's our purpose. I think these are principles that will carry Providend from where we are today to beyond. And that's why we keep emphasizing, and I hope that the next generation, your generation, the generation after you will continue with these values. And if we do, then I think Providend will last for a long, long time.
Based on what you have shared throughout the whole episode, the parallel I can really draw between Singapore and Providend is something like, you know, our reserves is essentially like the infrastructure that you leave behind, but the prudence, you know, how we manage our fiscal policy, our budget, is sort of the values that was left behind as well. So one is, you know, the infrastructure, one is, you know, the resource, the other is the values that you leave behind for the subsequent generation.
And since this is our National Day, I would say that I think our founding fathers would have sacrificed in vain if the next generation didn't catch it and we don't leave it. I think they would have sacrificed in vain. And I think that will be the downfall of Singapore, because, you know, Singapore, we really have nothing. And I think the first generation of leaders at Providend would have sacrificed in vain if the G2 and the G3 and G4, so on and so forth, in Providend, they fail to catch this. Then I think the G1 leaders would have sacrificed in vain. I really, really hope that on the 60th birthday of Singapore and the 24th birthday, I don't know when this podcast is going to go out, but we are in August and next month is September, and that's our 24th birthday. Right? I really hope that on our nation's birthday and Providend's 24th birthday, that we will always remain a safe place for people to come and get advice, that our clients will come and they will be inspired to first make life decisions, and we are a place that will be able to give them really honest, down-to-earth, competent advice to enable those goals. I think many financial institutions fail to understand the sacredness of our job. I mean, our monies are hard-earned, right? And we all have dreams and aspirations. You have your dreams and aspirations. When you get married one day, you have dreams and aspirations for your children. I don't think financial institutions understand enough of what that means. I think we look at our job as just selling financial products. And maybe for the better ones, the achieving of a financial goal, but I think it goes beyond that, right? Not just the financial goals, but life goals, ikigai goals, not just the clients, but the client's family and beyond, right? I don't think we understand that well enough, right? If we understand that well enough, then we realize how sacred our job is. We realize how serious we need to make sure that every advice that goes out is the right advice to benefit the clients and not us. And my wish for Providend is that we always remain this kind of firm, right? And that's why the succession plan is very, very important for us, right? And that's why despite all the good offers which would have benefited the shareholders, we have rejected one after another. I'm not saying that we will reject in the future people who wants to buy us. I'm just saying that whatever reason, the reason for our succession plan, whether it is through a management buyout, whether it's through a mergers and acquisition, for us, we want to base it on the correct principle, right? And that is definitely not just based on optimizing, maximizing the wealth of the shareholder, but really taking care of the other stakeholders such as staff as well as our clients, balancing it with the needs of the shareholder. That will always be the principles that we'll base our decisions on.
Right. I think you summed it up perfectly, and it's a good place to end the podcast. Right. So thank you so much for your time today, Chris, and of course your honest sharing about a topic that I would say can be quite sensitive, especially with the information they are sharing. But I feel that it's very important for our listeners, and especially our clients, to hear that, you know, even though the founding members are eventually going to leave, Providend is going to be in good hands, and you're going to make sure that Providend is in good hands.
Yeah, thank you, Isaac.
Okay. So to all our listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And earlier in this episode, Chris said that, you know, he's not happy with the number of views, so please share as well. Yeah, so that you don't, so that, you know, more people can listen to our content and you don't miss out on future episodes. So with that, thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all in the next episode. All analysis, views or opinions from interviews, recommendations and other information broadcasted, podcasted or published herein are provided for general information purposes only. Information expressed does not take into account any specific situation, particular needs or objectives, and should not be construed as specific advice or a recommendation. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal or tax professional before taking any action. Providend Limited does not accept any liability for any loss whatsoever arising from any use of the information broadcasted or published herein. All contents and information contained herein may not be copied or reproduced in whole or in part by any means without prior written consent of Providend Limited.